Very good evening to all of you. Welcome to today's YouTube live session with me, Srujit Kakar. Today is Wednesday, 30th of November 2022. And before we move ahead with the session, let's get done with the basic formalities. So make sure you people go through the disclosure, which talks about the representation risk disclosure, risk involved in the market, and also about the copyrights. So today's session is about our latest version of the demand and supply zone screener. The latest version is version 1.0. And in the bracket, you can see it says A. So once you apply it on the chart, that is exactly what you should see, screener version 1.0A. Now, let's talk about what are the challenges with the conventional scanners and screeners, right? So screeners which are not based on demand and supply methodology, what are the challenges that we face? So the very first challenge is that all the screeners that are available in the market are either based on conventional technical analysis or they can be based on fundamental analysis, but none of them are designed based on demand and supply areas. So what might happen is, yes, it might shortlist scripts for you, but those scripts might not have any quality demand areas or any quality supply areas. Now, that is what I was talking about, that the symbols that they shortlist for us might not have a quality zone most of the times. That is a challenge. So what happens is, let's say if it shortlists 50 stocks for you or 50 symbols for you, maybe out of those 50 symbols, 35, 40 might not even have any quality areas. Now, even if they have, let's say some quality areas, few of them, if they have some quality areas, those quality areas might be really far away from the current market price. So the challenge is that, yes, even if you're shortlisting something, you might have to wait for a very long period of time before the prices, they come back into your demand areas or into your supply areas. And again, if they are pretty far away, by the time prices they come into your demand or your supply zones, your conditions might also change on the chart, which might make that trade an invalid trade when again compared to your trade plan. So these are the challenges that we face when we're using scanners or screeners which are based on conventional technical analysis. So what is the solution to it? Solution to it is a scanner which is based on demand supply zones, and that is what we call as our demand supply screener. So demand supply screener is purely based on the demand and supply zones. It is not based on conventional technical analysis. It is not based on any indicators or oscillators. It's purely based on the demand and supply zones. Second, when it is shortlisting scripts for us or symbols for us, it is only shortlisting symbols based on the zone quality settings that you're using. So if you're saying, okay, I only want the best of the best zones, it will only shortlist scripts based on that particular condition. Now, if you want more number of scripts, you can always customize your quality settings, and then yes, it will also identify scripts which are which are matching with your quality settings of the zone. And yes, talking about that, the current market price can be really far away from the zone. In the screener, you can define your proximity, how close you should be to the zone before it gets shortlisted for you. So this is where all these three challenges which you face with the conventional technical analysis, when you talk about screeners which are based on them or maybe based on fundamental analysis, they get taken care of. Now, the first thing, how do we get access to the demand and supply screener? It is a subscription-based screener. The link is available in the description. You'll have to go to our website, and that is where you can subscribe for it. We have different subscription plans, 30 days, 60 days, annual, whichever you're interested in, you can go for that particular plan. Next, I also do understand that if you're going for the screener subscription, if the zones are not getting marked on the chart, it's not going to help you. So what we have done for you is that with the screener subscription, you get complimentary access to the demand and supply zone indicator during your screener subscription period. So now you don't have to subscribe for the screener and the indicator as well, which is the demand and supply zone indicator. Once you go for the screener, with the screener, you get access to both of them, the demand and supply zone screener and complimentary access to the demand and supply zone indicator during your screener subscription period. And yes, now let's get started with the walkthrough. So once you have subscribed for the screener, right? So once you go to our website, the link, like I said, is available in the description. You will add it to your cart. You'll follow the regular checkout process. But yes, when you're subscribing for it, you will have to select your commencement date, from which date you want the screener to get activated for you. Now, once it gets activated, you'll get an email from us that the screener has been activated, after which you'll be able to use it. So how do you add the indicator to your chart? It's very simple. Once you have received the email from us that the screener has been activated for you, what you need to do is you need to click on the indicator tab on TradingView, and here you will be able to see invite only scripts, and under invite only scripts you will see demand supply screener 1.0. It will not show you 1.0 A, once you apply it, that is where you'll be able to see it's 1.0A, but yes, here it will always show you as 1.0. So you click on it and the screener gets added to your chart. Now what we need to do is, initially when you add the screener, can you see this list is completely empty? So it is not shortlisting anything for us because you have not defined your list, that from which list the screener should be identifying symbols for you. So you have to define your own list, and the maximum you can define in the screener is about 40. Now the question can be, what if I have a list which is more than 40? We'll also be covering it. But yes, at one go, you can put up to 40. So just as an example, I want to put this one, which is a GC on the screener. And what do we have to enter in the exchange name? What do we have to enter in the symbol name? At times, so what might happen is, okay, because I can see the exchange name here is comics, I can put it as comics, COMEX. And the symbol name I can see is GC1 exclamation mark. But at times what might happen is this might not be the correct exchange, or we might not know what is the correct exchange name or what is the correct symbol name. So in that case, what you can do is you can scroll down and you can see the last option says show exchange and symbol name. So once you enable it, what is going to happen at the bottom right corner, can you see it is showing me the exact, the correct exchange name should be comics_DL. So can you see here it was only showing me comics. So now I can know I can fix it. It has to be comics_DL and the symbol name is correct, which is GC1. So that is how you'll get to know what is the correct exchange name, what is the correct symbol name. Just as an example, let's say if I want Euro USD. So now for Euro USD, I know the symbol name will be Oanda. Sorry, the exchange name will be Oanda. So let's put that OANDA, and the symbol name will be Euro USD, EURUSD. So let's put this as well. So can you see now I added two symbols to the list, but only one of them is getting shortlisted. Now what I'll also do is, because like I was talking about, you might have the screener, but unless and until the zones are marked on the chart, it might not help you. And like I was saying, you get complimentary access to the indicator. So under the invite only scripts, you will also be able to find demand supply zone indicator once the screener gets activated for you. So now I can apply it. And now we can see wherever we have our demand and supply area. So let's go back to GC because that is what it is shortlisting for us. So let's go to GC. Now, if you talk about what all options we have and how do we use the proximity settings. So this one is very simple. What you need to do is you just keep building on your list and you can put up to 40 symbols here. After that, it is asking you what should be the proximity method. Now, what do I mean by proximity method? Proximity method means that when a script is getting shortlisted for you, should it be based on the high or the low, or should it be based on the closing price? Now, what do I mean by that? So if I say it has to be based on high and low, so for a supply area, when the high of the current candle will be within whatever proximity percentage you'll be giving, it will get shortlisted. And similarly for a demand area, when the low is getting in that proximity setting. And if you want to select it based on close, you can also do that. As I move forward, I'll show you the difference between the two. But yes, this is where you can choose whether you want this based on the highs and the lows, or whether you want to base you want this to be based on the closing price, which is basically your current market price. Now, what should be your zoning method? Do you want wick to wick method, body to wick method? What should be the leg-in method? So all these things you can customize based on your preference. Now, do you want the screener should be shortlisting tested zones? Now here you can see it is telling me that we are closer to the supply area and my default setting was 5%. So because from the high, this zone will be within 5%. So if I just show you here, let's do that. Okay, let me do this. Can you see? From the high, we are within 5%, we are within 2.38%. That is why it is getting shortlisted for me. Now, if I change these settings that I only want zones which are within 1%, oops, not for the indicator, for the screener. So can you see if I push it down that I only want up to 1%, now it will not shortlist even GC for me. Why? Because it is more than 1%, it was 2 point something percent. So this is how you can define what should be your proximity percentage. So let's say I give it as 3%, it will now again get shortlisted because we were within 3% of this. And going back, whether you want tested zones, whether you want fresh zones. So can you see now show tested zones are selected. That is the reason it is also shortlisting for me, even though the zone is tested. If I disable it, now it will not identify that for me, because now I'm saying only I want fresh areas, I don't want tested areas. Now, do you want to identify follow through pattern? Like here it is a follow through pattern. If I disable it, it might not identified because this is a follow through pattern. You can also enable this, you can disable this. Do you want to hide single leg out patterns? I explained all these settings in the demand and supply zone indicator walkthrough video. You can go through that. So it's basically exactly the same options which are available here. Now, what kind of patterns do you want the indicator should be identifying for you? You can customize that. How many candles you want in the basing, how should be the leg out, single leg out pattern, whether it should be an explosive move, a good move, the strongest one for a follow through pattern, and that is your proximity settings. Now let me show you examples where I already have a bigger list generated for you. Now, if I am on this time frame, now again, let me first go back here. Can you see, because I was on the weekly time frame, it is shortlisting for me based on the weekly. If I go to the monthly time frame, it will shortlist for me based on the monthly. If I go to the 4 hours time frame, now it will shortlist based on the 4 hours chart. So if you want to shortlist on a different time frame, simply just switch your time frame to that particular time frame, and based on that time frame, it will start shortlisting. So now here you can see we have a demand area, but this demand area, if you talk in terms of percentages, around 4% away, right? So what I'll do is, and do we have GCS? So if I just change this, that I want up to 4%, in fact 5%, now it should also shortlist this for me, because now this demand area is within 5%. So can you see it's refreshing? Once it refreshes, it will, okay, so why it is not identifying this one? Okay, it has to be based on the low. Let's verify. In fact, I'll have to start from here and see what is the percentage. So it is 4.5, so it should shortlist this for us. Let's see. I have given GC, and this I have given as okay, let me just push it a little higher. Let's see if we give it as 6 or maybe 7. Let's verify. And let me also disable this, because at times, okay, so I'll have to look into it why this one is not getting identified, otherwise it should. Okay, so I'll have to look for where is the challenge with this one. Anyways, let me show you a few more examples, right? So yes, whatever time frame you're on, based on that time frame, it will identify for you. So the good thing is, at least I have been able to spot a bug. So I'll try to figure out what is the reason why it is not identifying this one, because we are within 4.27, right? So we are within 5%. If I push it up a little bit, let's say if I give it as maybe 10%, I just want to see whether it is shortlisting now or not. And I already have this added to the list. All right, so I'll have to look into it. All right, now coming back to a few examples. Can you see here what I've done is I have added a complete list of 40 scripts, right, with some settings. Now here I only have the demand zones selected. I don't have the supply zone selected, just to show you as an example. So if I look at these settings as of now, right, my settings are that for these 40 scripts, I only want to identify demand areas, right? And the proximity I've given as 0%. So now what do we mean by 0%? 0% means that the current market price will be inside of that monthly demand area. So example, can you see it is shortlisting BPCL for me? So if I go to BPCL, it's BPCL. And if I go to the monthly time frame, you will see that we will be inside of a monthly demand area, and that is what it is doing. That out of these 40 scripts I've given, only BPCL is the only script which is inside of my monthly demand area, and it got shortlisted for me. Now similarly, if I change this to weekly, now see, like I was telling you, you can only have up to 40 in a list, but you can have multiple chart layouts. So I have multiple chart layouts. So I have 40 here. You can see I have the next 40 here. I have the next 40 here. Then I have the next 40 here. So in a way, can you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can have around 280 scripts in the list, 240, I believe, right? So that is how you can have multiple scripts. But yes, if you have a free account, you will not be able to have multiple chart layout. Then you can add the screener twice, because you can only have 3 indicators. So one you'll be using for your demand and supply zones. The other 2 you can apply the screener, where now you can have up to 80. But yes, in a multiple chart layout, you don't have any limitations. You can put as many layouts as you wish to. So here you can see my current screener is that I only want to shortlist scripts which are trading inside of my demand areas and supply areas. So if I've selected monthly, it is telling me for the monthly. If I select it as weekly, now it will shortlist for me, but it will only shortlist scripts which are trading inside of weekly zones. So as an example, if I go to JSW Energy here, so can you see it shortlisted JSW Energy? So if I go to JSWENER Energy, and on the weekly, you will see that you will be trading inside of a weekly demand area. Similarly, if I move on to the next one, just as an example, this is MOL. So if I go to MOL, this will also be trading inside of a weekly demand area. So can you see we are trading inside of a weekly demand area? So that's the difference, between the settings, which is if you're giving it as like 1% means you will be within 1% proximity, and 0% would mean that you are inside of the zone. Now this is where I have selected my closing basis. Now if I give it as high and low, now just to show you the difference between the high and low, so here it was JSW Energy, and if I give it as high low, let's see what does get shortlisted for us now. Does it give us anything else? So it is still not shortlisting anything else, so I'll change this back to close, and I'll move to another one just to try it out. So can you see here we were having mole, but if I give it as high low, now let's check, do we have more number of scripts so that I can show you the difference between the two. Perfect. Can you see now it is shortlisting loop in for me. Now the reason mole is getting shortlisted is because the low is inside of my zone, right? And if I go to the other one was Lupin, LUPIN. So here you can see we will not be inside the zone, but the low will be touching the zone. Can you see? Because the low is touching the zone, now it is getting shortlisted for me because I have selected, I want it based on the high and low, not based on the closing price. So that is the reason when we were selecting it as based on the closing price, it was only shortlisting mole for us because mole was inside of the zone. But when I say, okay, I want it based on the high and the low, so anyhow, the low of the current candle for mole is inside of the zone. And for the Lupin, yes, the low is inside of the zone. It definitely touched the zone, though we are not closing inside of it as of today. So this is what the difference is between the two settings, that is your closing basis and your high-low basis. Now the next challenge is, can you see if I'm on the weekly a monthly chart, I have 40 scripts listed for me. It shortlists everything for me. If I go to the weekly, you can still see it will shortlist for me. And even if can you see here, I just got a error. So at times you might get an error, which is calculation timed out. So if that happens, what you do is you just change to a different time frame and go back to that particular time frame. And once you do that, it gets refreshed and it should fix itself then. So again, this is happening. Let's do it once more. Now, these are some limitations. We'll talk about what are these limitations and why it happens at times and how to fix it. Can you see now it has been fixed? Similarly, if I go to the daily time frame, it should not be a challenge, though it will take a little longer now because on the daily time frame, you'll have more data. And because you have more data, it will take more time for us to generate the list. So let's give it some time for us, for the screener to generate the list for us. And then I'll also talk about some of the challenges which you might face when you start going to smaller time frames, and what is the solution to it. Can you see now it has started shortlisting, but at least it is generating results for us that these are the scripts which will be trading inside of a daily demand area as of now, right? Because by the default option I selected was closing basis. Now if I go to, let's say, an hourly chart, you will see that all of them will not generate any results. They will give an error and they'll stop running. So can you see already I got an error on this one, I got an error on this one, I got an error on this one. And now no matter how many times I change the time frame and I go back to the hourly, it will keep giving me the error. So what is the reason? Why do we get this error once we start going to the smaller time frame? Now if you talk about a free account on TradingView, on a free account you get data which is up to 5,000 candles. On a paid account, depending upon your subscription level, you can have data which can be 10,000 candles or even 20,000 candles. So what happens is on the monthly chart, on the weekly chart, on the daily chart, probably you'll not have 5,000, 10,000 or 20,000 candles. So you don't have a lot of data which the scanner or the screener has to analyze. But once you go to the smaller time frames, yes, that kind of data is available, which takes a lot of time for the screener to go through each and every script out of these 40 and identify where these conditions are getting matched. So there is a limitation from TradingView, and that limitation is that if the calculation takes a lot of time, now on a free account they give you 20 seconds, on a paid account they give you 40 seconds. So if the indicator is taking more than 20 seconds on a free account, the execution is stopped. And similarly, if the screener is taking, or the indicator is taking more than 40 seconds on a paid account, the execution is stopped. And since we have a lot of data which it has to analyze, it will always take way more time when it comes to finding those scripts which are matching with those conditions. So let's just give it a few more seconds, because I want these errors to pop up so that I can show you the error message. So I'm just waiting for some of them to get loaded. Perfect. So can you see here, we have still the same error, which is calculation timed out, calculation timed out. Let's also give this one. And at times you might even see the error which might say that it is taking more than 20,000 something seconds or something like that, right? So this is what is going to happen when you start moving to smaller time frames, because a lot of data is available. So does that mean that I cannot use it on smaller time frames? No, you can use it on a smaller time frame, but now you have to find an alternative to it. So what is the alternative to it? I'll just show you. Can you see it is applied to an hourly chart, and it is shortlisting for me on the hourly as well. So how it is working, because now you can see in my list I have given only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 scripts. So the other 30 are empty. So now the screener does not have to analyze 40 scripts for me. It has to analyze only 10. But now I have created more number of templates, and on those more number of templates, what I've done is I have spread this across the board, with each chart having just 10 scripts to analyze. Now, just as an example, let's say if you give 10, because this will also depend upon what markets you're trading. For some markets, you might have a lot of data. For some markets, you might have lesser data. So you'll have to play around and see how many scripts you can put into. But I just want to show you an example that, can you see I'm on the hourly time frame, and even on the hourly time frame, it is shortlisting for me. I can even go to a 15 minutes chart. It will also shortlist for me based on the 15 minutes chart. But yes, it is going to take some time. Reason being, because now it is analyzing those 10 scripts on 15 minutes for all of these charts. So basically it is looking at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 scripts. And out of these 80 scripts, it will tell me which scripts are matching with my conditions. So let's just give it a few seconds and see what it shortlists for us, and then I'll show you on the chart that whatever it is shortlisting is matching with the criteria which we had given to the indicator. So by the time the 15 minutes is getting generated, let me show you example of 60. So can you see here my settings are that based on the closing, I should be within 1% to a zone. So here you can see it is telling me on ICICI Bank. So if I go to ICICI Bank on the hourly time frame, you will see that from the current closing price, I should be within 1% to a demand area. So let's just give some time for the indicator to load. So can you see the indicator is still loading? Because I also have this running in the background, which might make it a little slower for me. So let's just give it some time. You can see it's still loading. Probably I can just disable this one. So you can see I have a demand area and I'm within 1% of it. That is the reason it got shortlisted for me on the 60 minutes. And now you can see I also have my list for 15. So as an example, let's take these three examples. Bank Nifty is in proximity to demand area. So if I go to Bank Nifty, you will see I will be within 1% proximity to a demand area, and that's your demand zone. Similarly, if you look at Balakrishna Industries, I will be within 1% proximity to a supply area. So if I go to Krishna Industries, Balakrishna. Okay, let me just look at the exact symbol name. Balkr. Balakrishna Industries. So here you will see I should be within 1% to a supply zone. That is what it is telling me on the 15 minutes time frame. Sorry, this one. On the 15 minutes time frame, I should be within 1%. So I'm okay. I need to go to 15 minutes. My bad. So can you see on the 15 minutes? That is where probably the supply would be, and the current closing should be within 1% of it. So let's verify that. Can you see if I start from here? I am within 1% of it, right? So can you see that is why it got shortlisted for me. And the third one it is telling me on the 15 minutes chart is Bajaj Auto. So if I go to BAJAJ, Bajaj Auto, you will again see that on the 15 minutes, I should be within 1% proximity to a demand area, because my proximity settings I've given as of now is it should be within 1%. And you can see I've also selected show tested zones as disabled. So that is why it is only identifying scripts where I have fresh zones and my current uh, closing price is within 1% of it. So yes, this is what the screener is all about. And you can see it's purely based on the demand and supply zones. So here you can see, because we gave it as 15 and here we have every list as 40 symbols. That is why it will not shortlist for us. So this is the alternative. When you want to go to smaller time frames, you will have to give a smaller list, and that smaller list has to be spread across multiple charts or multiple indicators, and that is how you can take care of even your smaller time frames. And this makes this indicator, the screener, universal. You can use it based on the higher time frame, you can use it based on the lower time frame, whichever way you wish to use it. So example, if you only want scripts which are trading at the best locations, I can use it based on the higher time frame. So now I know this is the only script, BPCL, which is trading at the best location as of now on the monthly, and similarly on the weekly, this is the only script which is trading at the best location. Though currently my settings are based on you can see it's based on the closing price, and also for the tested zones, and also within 0% proximity. So again, you can see it's giving me some lists. So let me show you one more, maybe Sun TV. So if I go to Sun TV, on Sun TV I will be inside of a demand area on the weekly time frame. So if I go to Sun TV, I will be inside of a demand area on the weekly time frame, and that is what you can see. And that is what this screener is all about, purely based on your demand and supply areas, and that is what it helps with. And yes, before we end the session, let me see what do we have here. Okay, so did I make a spelling mistake with the Euro USD? So that could be the reason why it was not shortlisting for me, right? So let's go back to, okay, so you mean here I made a mistake with Euro USD, sorry. Settings, EUR, right? So I did make a mistake, EUR USD. Perfect. So now I have given Euro USD as well. So now you can see it is telling me that on Euro USD, we have a proximity to supply area on the weekly time frame. And because my current settings is within 10%, so we will be within 10%. 10% is definitely too much. We would not like to be notified, when we are almost 10% away, probably when we are closer to it. So can you see if I give it as 5%, it is still showing me Euro USD. So if I go to Euro USD, and on the weekly time frame, you will see we are close to the supply. And here you can see my setting as of now is I want it based on the high-low basis. That is why it is getting, in fact, if I make it as 0%, just to show you again, can you see if I give it as 0%, it will still identify Euro USD because the high is touching the supply. But if I give it as based on the closing basis, now it will not identify because we are touching it, but we are not inside of it. So that's the difference between high-low and the difference between on the closing basis. So at least, very good example just to understand the difference between high-low and on the closing basis. All right. Okay, so Ravi is asking, sir, आपका premium लेना कैसे है? So again, see, the screener will work on a free TradingView account as well, but the limitation with the free TradingView account will be that you can only have one chart layout. You'll not be able to have multiple chart layouts. So whatever the limitations are for the free account, those limitations will be there. But with those limitations, you'll still be able to use the screener. So your demand supply indicator also included in the screener? Absolutely yes. With the screener, you do get complimentary access to the demand and supply zone indicator. We have already talked about it during your screener subscription period. And does it work on Nifty and Bank Nifty? The screener will work on any symbol you want to put on on TradingView. So it's not just Nifty, Bank Nifty, be that the Indian market, be that the international market, be that currencies, be that crypto. So just as an example, if I want to put Nifty, I can click here. So now I know I have to give the NSE and Nifty here. So I can definitely give it as NSC as the exchange name, and the symbol name is NIFTY, one exclamation, because we are looking into the futures. If you want to give it based on the index, you can also give it based on the index. So I'm giving it based on the futures. And let's go to Nifty and let's see, do we have any zones? So I can just show you that it will also work on the index as well. So the zone is pretty far away. Let's see on the daily, do we have any zone which is close by? No, we don't have on the 15 minutes. So let's just give it a few seconds. All right, so can you see on the 15 minutes, we do have a zone which is close by. So what I can do is I can go to my screener, because now on the 15 minutes, it will definitely be taking a lot of time to go through these symbols. So what I'll do is I'll change the very first one to NSC, oops, and Nifty. And let me remove all these so that it is only looking into one of them. And what I'll do is I'll increase the percentage to maybe 5%, and show tested zone is already selected. So because we have a tested zone here, it should ideally identify now for Nifty as well that we are within 5%. Let's see, are we within 5%? Absolutely. Can you see we are within, in fact, 0.66%. So can you see now even Nifty is getting shortlisted. So yes, it will work on any symbol on TradingView. You just have to ensure you're giving the correct symbol name and the exchange name. And like I already said, if you don't know the correct symbol name and the exchange name, you can just click on this option, right? You can see now I've disabled it, so it will remove from the chart. It is refreshing. And can you see once you enable it, so that you don't make a mistake while inputting your exchange name and the symbol name. So you can take it from here exactly the way it is. Yes, if you want to take care even of the uppercase, lowercase, that is also acceptable. But even if you don't take care of uppercase, lowercase, it will still shortlist for you. All right, so that answers the question. Would it work on Nifty and Bank Nifty? Absolutely yes. I've already answered whether you get demand and supply screener along with it, with the demand supply zone indicator along with the screener. The answer is yes. And if any update version comes in future, I will get it if I go for the annual subscription. Absolutely. So it's not just about the annual. Even if you go for the 30-day subscription or the 60-day subscription or the annual subscription, if there are any updates, you will always have access to the latest version during your subscription period. So if a new version comes, does not mean you again have to renew for a newer version. During your subscription period, whatever updates are there, you will always have access to those updated versions. Can we screen for 0.1 proximity? Absolutely. So why not? So you can see, you can give it anything you wish to. If I want 0.1, I can give even 0.1. Now it will only identify where we are within 0.1%. So yes, you can give it in decimals as well. So now you will see the Nifty will be removed because Nifty is not within 0.1%. So yes, you can give it whatever you wish, right? From 0%, 0% would imply we are inside of the zone, to whatever number you wish to give, you can choose that number. Perfect. So that takes care of the screener. And like I said, that's the only screener available in the market as of today I know of, which is helping you shortlist scripts based on the zone proximity. And I'll also be doing the same session in Hindi sometime later during the evening. So those of you who are more comfortable in Hindi, yes, you can catch up during that time. So until we meet next, enjoy your Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.